So, Dimension, we're talking about Project Zomboid once again, and today I want to talk about why we love Project Zomboid and why we keep coming back to it. Because I can't put this game down for very long. It's almost like Space Engineers for me. I just can't walk away for more than a couple months before I play it again.
My absolute favorite thing about Project Zomboid is the fact that no play is the same. It doesn't matter whether it's a different character, it doesn't matter whether you just make different stupid decisions or decide to explore a different city. Every playthrough or every character, every play is going to be slightly different.
One of the things I enjoy about Project Zomboid right from the get go is the vehicles. It looks complex, it looks intimidating at first, but they're fun, they're amazing. And I love how every part on the car can get damaged in different ways. And you can like pop only one side of your tires because you only ran over zombies on that one side of your car. But the other beautiful thing is that the parts are mostly universal. I think there are like three categories like light, medium, and heavy kind of cars. But all of the parts for those cars are universally changeable, and you can immediately know what kind of car has the universal parts you need. And it's just enjoyable. It's very fun because the car menu itself, although I think they're missing the radiator, I don't know why we don't have a radiator. You can take out the brakes, the suspension, you can change the radio, the batteries, the fuel tank has its own thing. If your trunk becomes too damaged, you can have parts fly out of your trunk like inventory items. It's hilarious as heck. You can even hook up trailers to cars, which is a lot of fun.
You can actually hook up other vehicles to your vehicle and you can tow vehicles and trailers and stuff like that around and kind of clear the roads. I love that. That's what's missing from a few other games that we talk about and cover is the ability to clear roads and things like that and make a path for your vehicle. But, the vehicle situation, and you're talking about how in depth it is, also leads us to skills. Because if I'm not mistaken, you need mechanic skills in order to fix some of the things on those cars. You can find
Yep,
cars that are
correct.
run. You can find cars that you can do certain things with, and there's certain things you may not need mechanic skills to do, but other things, in-depth repairs, you have to invest time into upgrading your skills, specifically the mechanic skills, in order to do those repairs. And that works across everything in Project Zomboid at this point. Carpentry, if you're wanting to build a base, you got to invest time and effort and experience into the carpentry skill. And Project Zomboid provides you with books and TV shows you can watch in the early game and things like that to up those skills and give you bonuses.
But it also leads to a beautiful thing that's in Project Zomboid, which is the multiplayer. When you're playing with your friends, that skill system really shines, especially in Build 42, because you have your friends to take on the other skills. Because if you do it single player, those skill system can be really daunting. But with your friends on multiplayer, you could be electrician and maybe you're a little bit of the mechanic too, while your friend's the carpenter and the mason, or maybe somebody's the blacksmith and or is the other kind of cook and stuff. And because there are so many different types of skills, they've also introduced other things to multiplayer to really make it enjoyable, such as claiming safe houses or barricading up your home, etc., etc. And multiplayer, in my opinion, is where Project Zomboid has a lot of fun and more enjoyment to it.
Yeah, Project Zomboid really shines in multiplayer, and it's because the game is good in multiplayer and good in single player, but it's also because of the things that can happen to you with your group in multiplayer, the funny stories that you can tell, the fun stuff that happens, and again, the progress you can make with your friends and not having to do everything alone. It, like you said, it's very daunting to have to do all the skills, gather everything by yourself, but you got a good group of friends, you might make progress or you might end up getting dumped off on the middle of the interstate in your underwear because you got bit by a zombie.
Hello, folks. Your support means the world to us, but we also offer memberships if you wish to support us more, starting at 99 cents and above. The membership link is just down below, so feel free to click on it. Thank you very much for supporting us. Speaking of the zombies, they're another reason why I love this game so much. They are they have variable speeds, but they're not runners. they can move quick. They do like fast walking or whatever it's called. But like they have shamblers all the way to fast walkers, so sometimes groups can become kind of varied, but they can go through doors, they can go through windows, they can break down walls. They are unrelenting, and you can become, super anxious, you can become super nervous, all that kind of stuff. You could become panicky if there's too many of them. And even when you're playing with your friends, you do get a little bit more emboldened, thinking you can take more on. But honestly, because their health varies so much, you really don't know how many hits or swings it's going to take, what's going to happen, and they can easily overwhelm you. They'll rip your clothing, they'll take off your backpack, they'll bite you, they'll scratch you. And the worst part about it is your character becomes more fatigued and everything else. And it's because of the character things that happen to your character, the stress, the muscle strain, the fatigue, the panic, all that stuff. That's where the zombies become really problematic because they are attracted to sounds, they're attracted to sight. They will eventually migrate and follow you. Like if you drive through a heavy town blaring your horn, you may think that they're going to stop, but they're eventually going to make their way to wherever you went if you were being incredibly noisy. And that's the beauty of the game, is the fear of large crowds of zombies. And I'm talking about large crowds being like 8 or 9 of them are intimidating, even as a experienced player and having high combat and weapon skills.
In the beginning, at least for me, when it was one, two, three zombies, it was difficult. It was nerve wracking. It because the timing, I didn't have the timing, I didn't have the combat all the way down. But as I've played more and I've gotten better, the one or two zombies aren't really an issue anymore unless they sneak up on you or get behind you, or say they're hiding in a porta potty that you open and they come out at you, things like that. It's the groups of zombies, or having to fight, even small groups of two or three multiple times before you have a chance to rest or catch your breath or rest your arms. Because, like you said, status effects, the muscle strain, the panic, the fear, all of that stuff starts to add up and stack up. And you start to literally move slower and run slower and walk slower. If you're carrying too much, that affects it. And that's when the horde becomes dangerous. Again, like you said, we don't have sprinters, we don't have jumpers, we don't have crawlers. Well, there are crawlers, but like we don't have these special categories of zombies in Project Zomboid that we would normally be avoiding in certain other games. But we have just the horde in general and yourself as your enemy. Because if you get too overconfident and you go decide to fight 25, 50 zombies, and then your arms start to get tired or your weapon breaks, you're in a lot of trouble all of a sudden. You're doing great. You're dropping zombie after zombie, and now you've got a kitchen knife, and that's it. And there's still 50 zombies coming at you. You're in trouble. You better hope you can sprint away, or you got to start tossing stuff out of your backpack to lighten your load and get out of there.
But, kind of coming to the conclusion about why we love Project Zomboid, I think almost everything in Project Zomboid is enjoyable. It's what keeps bringing me back. But I think the most important thing above all of it is what we started with, and it's the stories. It's always about how every life is the same. It could be the same person with all the same traits, it could be the same world, but every life is different. I can go back to the same base every single time, and every single time I live and then eventually perish, it was different.
I don't think I've ever finished a life in Project Zomboid that I was actually truly mad or disappointed with. There's been a few times where I'm a bit disappointed in myself because I did something stupid, but like in general, I've never had a character die and been frustrated and been like, "Oh, I'm done with this game." Because it's all about the decisions you make. It's all about the story that you're telling with that character.
Well, folks, thank you very much for joining me as we talk about why we love Project Zomboid and why we always keep coming back to it. Join me in thanking Dimension 119 and Red Falcon for joining us today and always keeping the podcast running and going smooth. Thank you very much for watching. Ta ta for now.
See you in another dimension.